As you can tell from the part one, there was a doorbell. I had to get it. And I may have to split these deep dives into sections because these will take long. They are really going to be heavy handed. Well, not heavy handed, but there's a whole lot to talk about. It will be way more than just one sitting. And again, I'm unedited, I'm unscripted. Well, I admit this episode was kind of scripted. I had to memorize all of these titles, and I'm sorry I didn't lie, but that was a lot. I needed a list, not script, but a list. But Jungle Book and Secret Garden. And Jungle Book was where I kind of left off. And I was talking about how these books don't talk down, and they don't. They don't sugarcoat it like Winnie the Pooh. There's a lot going on, and beat by beat, these books are again a little bit more mature. They talk, they speak, and there's so much more to them. I mean, I'm talking about Jungle Book, and I'll list each book beat by beat to tell you what I think why these are timeless. And with Jungle Book, in part one, I kind of talked about more about the law of the jungle and how, well, I mentioned it really, but the law of the jungle is kind of a more important piece. How each animal has its law, but altogether there's this unanimous law of the jungle. And that's why the monkeys are considered down low, because they have no law, they have no language. And that's kind of it's it's very deep. It's crazy because with Jungle Book, death immediately happens. With Jungle Book, there's Mowgli learning about the law of the jungle, how with Baloo is his teacher when it comes to the jungle lore, how Bagheera is this other teacher. And I may be saying a lot in these books is teacher and student, because with these books I found out there's a formula, a hidden formula. And that is the student, teacher, and class representation you may hear in a lot of these formula. And a lot. And I'll talk. And Jungle Book is probably the best beginning point about this formula. This formula, I think, may help why some children's books, if you read them, you'll find this out. And Jungle Book really is a marriage with this formula. But it shows off why. Also, some of these books may stand the test of time. Is this formula? I talked about it. What is it? Again, I talked about teacher and student class. And you may notice my positions because that is what it is. Because I think with children, they want, as they are going to school, as they're growing up, we see adults. As adults as these bigger subjects, these teachers, these people that talk to us and help us to grow and adjust to what is to be the world, or in this case, for Mowgli, the jungle. And Baloo is, again, the lore, a teacher of lore. Bagheera is a teacher of the hunt, or what it means to be part of the jungle, and what is that marriage between jungle and also being part of man. Bagheera is this bridge that he can sympathize with Mowgli, this teacher. And this other teacher of the wolf pack, which is Akela, who's the head of the pack. And Mowgli has all these different teachers, and when you go more in the book, you meet Kaa, who, in Jungle Book Part 2, is also a teacher. He has all these teachers. And with these teachers, they see that Mowgli stands out among the class, these other students. He's far more superior. Well, he is man. Man, he can stand up, he has hands, he can do other things. But yet he has to know the law of the jungle. He has to learn what is important, who is friend, who is foe. And from each foe, how Mowgli learns to grow. And with this formula, again, I've kind of mentioned, it's about this student-teacher-class relationship. And the student, little kids, when they read these books, they would see themselves as a connection to the student. And in the student, they want to be better than everyone. And let's face it, as little kids, we like to see ourselves as the best at something. We want to say, hey, I'm good at this. I am more stronger right here. I am good. And also, I am better. There's this sense of superiority that little kids have. And they don't understand that superiority and where they fit, but they see themselves, to quote Simpsons Bart, kids don't die. That's in a Simpsons, and that is kind of a logic that a lot of psychologists see children as. We don't die. We are immortal. We are strong. And in that student position, in a lot of these books, a lot of them, the main character who is the student stands above the class. They are this childhood superior. And this may sound a little talking kids up, but this is how kids see themselves. They have this mentality of that. These books speak loud, and Mowgli is the loud. I think Mowgli's one of the louder ones because he is superior, but yet that superiority has a complex to it. I mean, not just a complex, but more the lines of that he can't really understand where he stands. He is greater, he is stronger, but yet, or does that leave him in the jungle? Does the jungle and him have that same relationship? In the Jungle Book, he goes from a student of the jungle, goes to mankind because he has to be protected by Shere Khan. Only that Shere Khan comes again, and this time Mowgli kills Shere Khan, but he gets kicked out of the man village and goes back to the jungle, but yet he has no idea where. I am so strong, but yet, where am I? What do I do? Where do I go? Who am I? And it goes through that bigger depth. And in Jungle Book 2, it goes bigger into it and how Mowgli has to learn more about who he is, and that him being so superior, it comes to the point he is jungle master, but yet now the jungle will no longer accept him as that's not that unscripted, but the jungle relationship with Mowgli goes a little askew, and then Mowgli realizes he's too old for the jungle. He's too big for the jungle. He has to grow out of the jungle and go into what will be another man village, where he will grow and evolve into that. I mean, listen to this. Listen to what that is for the Jungle Book. Why that could stand the test of time. It has this formula that, again, all these books have, but again, it's Jungle Book does it the best. And after hearing that, and after talking about it, you can go, there's depth. There is lore, but yet that is a level of maturity. This is not kid gloves. This is not telling a kid, yeah, this is a good story. A child can learn from Jungle Book. And as an adult, when you read Jungle Book, you can't help but go, this is dark. This goes on a great level. This is a very powerful book, and it is. And Jungle Book really shows off that children can understand a little bit more than we give them credit for. And what we see a lot of today's subjects, whether it comes to books and movies with the little kids, the Jungle Book, we see the difference between Jungle Book and today, because with today, they are trying to push more to levels of maturity, but yet there's a little bit more politics into children's cartoons right now. But believe it or not, there is. and they want to push these quote unquote agendas. And you see that with today, you're going, yeah, I think you're trying to make kids grow up a little too much. But with Jungle, grow up too much, but in a weird way, where it's more the lines of, I want a child to grow up like this, where I want a child to grow up with towards my point of view, towards my goals, my ends, my means. But Jungle Book talks about just growing up. How a child can grow up through lessons. A child can grow up from his teachers, his parents, and how the community that influences Mowgli. The community didn't raise Mowgli, but the community helped Mowgli to grow up. And from that, Mowgli will take those lessons and go on. And also, that's what a child would read. And as an adult, when we will read this, we will see the struggle of Mowgli, and that is, who am I? Am I jungle? Am I a person of the jungle? Or am I a person of humans? He's a child of two worlds, and yet he doesn't know where he stands. That's when an adult will read Jungle Book, that's where it goes. And we're like at the 11-minute, 12-minute marker, and look what I just pulled out of Jungle Book. I think this is why Jungle Book will be timeless. This is why I think that if we go through these, you'll see there's something bigger and grander with each and every one. And some may not be as high as others, but I think this is why Jungle Book is so good. And Disney, I bet most people will recognize Jungle Book because of Disney. And Disney does the movies good, but they're not Jungle Book. And Disney has a weird relationship with the book, Jungle Book, because there's the first hand-drawn animated one, and they released another Jungle Book in the 90s. It's the first quote-quote live action that they did, and it wasn't close to the soul of Jungle Book. They did a direct DVD movie of Jungle Book. They've had Jon Favreau did that, the latest remake. No, not the latest remake, but he was one of the first remakes of the Jungle Book. And it was more of a remake of that. But they did. But Disney has never gone to that depth. But there is a movie out there that's closer to the soul of Jungle Book. It's on Netflix, and it is called Mowgli. And it's directed by Andy Serkis, and there's a whole great cast there. And if you want to read the Jungle Book, but you're not so sure what the heck I'm talking about, that probably Jason's just flapping his mouth and not really saying anything, and you thinking this is just whatever. But read the book or watch Mowgli, that movie on Netflix, and you will see that there's this deeper depth. That Disney, as much as it has a long relationship with this book, it doesn't give it the justice that it deserves. And this will end kind of part 2 of a many-part series of this deep dive. Deep dives are going to be big, they're going to be long, and one will be posted per day because there's a lot talking about. There's a lot going on. And again, we're talking about the subject of why are these classics will stand the test of time. Why they are. And it begins with that formula I talked about. Student, teacher, and class. And you'll see it repeated go on. And I think this formula will give us more of the reason why. And this is part 2 of the series of why these classics are immortal.